Welcome to another episode. I'm Pari.
And I'm Jalp. And today's episode is actually a little different. We're flipping the script a bit.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions, and so do a lot of people. How do you save up for travel? Isn't that expensive? Are you secretly rich? So we're putting it all on the table. Money, priorities, trade-offs, and how to make experiences happen without waiting for someday.
All right, let's get into it.
So today's episode is going to be more of like a question-answer sort of forum, I guess. The reason is because I, as a 20-year-old who does not have a lot of savings, have not really traveled too much, whereas Jalp, who's, 4 years ahead in life, you've traveled quite a bit by now. So I was thinking, I would ask the questions and hopefully you could provide some answers.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I'm no financial advisor.
Yeah.
So today's episode, anything that you hear is just from my experiences and what has worked for me. And as Buddy mentioned, I have not traveled quite a bit. I've traveled a decent amount and a reasonable amount for someone that's
Exactly.
in
For
my
an
age.
ordinary person,
Yeah.
I feel like you've traveled a good amount, right?
I don't know. Maybe somebody listening to this has traveled 52 countries and stuff.
I know, but I feel like we're bringing perspectives from an ordinary view,
yeah.
But yeah, also literally today's June 8th or something?
June 7th.
June 7th. In 6 days, Jalp is leaving for a trip. You want to tell them where you're going?
Yeah, I'm going to Hawaii. So this is one of those trips where me and my friends were just figuring out, okay, well, let's do something this year. And we landed on Hawaii. So I'm looking forward to that.
That is awesome. How long are you going for?
I'm going for about a week and a bit. So probably 10, 11 days. But Hawaii is obviously far from here. So
travel days and
1
stuff.
or 2 days are basically gone for travel.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you going to live your Moana moment?
Yeah, I'm going to, wear a skirt and then be on the...
What's a lua dancing or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. You've done that before. I have a video of you doing that, actually.
Yeah.
At Dad's 50th birthday party. Anyways, so let's get into kind of the truth about travel and money. To start off, what do you think is the biggest misconception or misunderstanding people have about travel and money?
Okay. I just want to say, traveling is a privilege. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to do that. And if you're in a position where you have the ability to do that, and we can also talk about how you can prepare yourself for that, because obviously traveling is a big financial obligation.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, if you save properly, if you allocate or if you make a budget, it is possible, right? And you got to understand okay, when you're traveling in your 20s, it's going to look way different than somebody who's traveling in their 40s, right?
Yeah.
The first couple of trips that I did when I was maybe 2-3 years back, where I was just starting off my career, the way I traveled then, we stayed in sometimes in hostels and stuff like that, right? But when you are traveling later on, you might want to not stay in hostels and stuff like that. So it depends on that. So that, I think, is a misconception that whatever you see online is the way you have to travel. No, you can make your traveling also budget friendly.
Budget friendly. That honestly leads perfectly into my next question, which was, can you actually travel on a budget, or is that just something you see on social media?
You can travel on a budget. Most of the time, your biggest expenses for traveling are flights, okay?
Yeah.
So if you are not stuck up and stubborn on where you want to go, you can find really good deals on where to travel depending on flight prices.
Yeah.
So what I find myself doing is that this is what Google Flights is actually a good place for this, is that I have a couple of locations in mind that I want to travel, and then I set alerts for those locations. And then what Google does is, I think every week or so, whenever there's a price drop, it sends me an email notification.
Oh.
Right. And on Google, you can also see okay, currently this price is on the cheaper side. Currently the price is on the more expensive side.
Yeah.
So you can set up things like that and be flexible for when you want to travel. Right.
Oh, okay.
So everyone has heard about peak season. You guys can get what peak season and traveling seasons are. It's summertime and usually Christmas break. Most of the times when I have traveled, we've done the shoulder seasons. So the shoulder seasons is the period before the peak season starts.
Right.
So the weather is going to be good as well. You're going to get cheaper flights, right? When I did Iceland, it was around, I think, May, which is like shoulder season for the busy season in the summer. Or even when we did Guatemala, it was November, which is shoulder season for Christmas season.
Okay.
Even when we're doing Hawaii peak season is July, August, probably, and we're going in June, right? So if you are smart with it and if you're flexible with your timing, even location, right? I didn't set out like, okay, I want to go to Hawaii. I just said I want to go travel, and I want to go travel somewhere where the tickets are cheap. And we landed on Hawaii because our tickets were like $450 for Hawaii.
Which is really good. Wow. Yeah.
So I think that's one way on getting there, right? Okay. So the biggest thing is flights.
Yeah.
Now, when you're living and stuff, if you can, especially when you're young, like travel with a group of friends. It makes living costs cheap. Yeah. Number one, right? You can get a nice Airbnb for a group of 10 to 13 people. We've done big trips like that, and like it's not too bad. Especially if you're traveling in a country like Guatemala or places like those where the cost of living is low. Just getting there is expensive, but when you're in there, the spending is pretty cheap, right? Yeah. So that's another tip, like accommodations. If you have a group of buddies or even a group of 4, you can get an Airbnb. Don't stick with hotels. Yeah. Like, it's not really worth it. Hotels are usually more expensive. In Airbnb, you have access to a kitchen, like laundry and stuff like that. So if you can get an Airbnb or vacation homes versus hotels.
And then just like more of like not an emotional question, but do you ever feel guilty about spending money on trips? Like, to you, what is, like you said earlier, this conversation we're having is pretty privileged, right? Like, how do I get to travel, right? Because a lot of people, they're not in that position to ever be able to do that. So obviously we acknowledge that, but like, what is your reasoning behind why you travel? And like, do you ever feel guilty on spending money?
No, I'll be honest. There are some times where I feel like, I should be, maybe saving a little bit more money and stuff. But okay, I think maybe I've mentioned this earlier on in a couple of episodes, but my relationship with money, and everyone has different relationships with money, right? It depends on your upbringing and it depends on your life experiences. My relationship with money has been that, okay, this money thing that I'm earning is a tool for me, right? And it's a tool for me to do the things that I love. It's a tool for me to save for my retirement. It's a tool for me to set myself up for a more comfortable life, right? I have that perspective. I don't have the perspective that, money is everything, where like I just constantly want to save it, get it, and like just...
Like, for you, it's not the outcome.
It's not the outcome. The outcome is what I do with that money. Yeah. Right? So one thing I would say, like, I'm not traveling at the cost of high amounts where like it's putting a financial strain on myself. You still have to be reasonable when you're young, right? Yeah. I'm only traveling after my savings and investing and all of my personal life expenses are taken care of. Yeah. You got to make sure you're not traveling at the sake of your responsibilities or your obligations, because then you're kind of putting your financial burden on yourself, which is going to not be good in the long run, right? Yeah. But you still, even though when you're doing that, you still have these guilt, but you got to remind yourself that, okay, I've worked so hard this year, or like, hey, I'm not traveling like every year, like 3-4 times, right? Yeah. Number one, I don't have the funds to do that. Yeah. And number two, like my mindset is like, hey, I'm going to work hard this year, and then I'm going to look forward to a trip that I'll reward myself with. So it's kind of like a reward-based system for like sticking to my financial goals as well, like working hard. So the guilt kind of dies down there.
Yeah, because you feel like you've earned it.
Yeah, you feel like you've earned it. And like I said, like everyone listening to this is not going to be the same way as me, right? Yeah. Some people, they just love traveling, and that's their passion. So they might sacrifice on other things, right? Yeah. You also got to understand, like, I play sports like golf and tennis and all that other stuff, and I'm like hanging out with friends and stuff. So like there is some financial obligation to that. So some people might not make those choices and just invest in their traveling budget. So it's up to each person. It's
very But I feel like we've kind of just been talking more like what's the word, superficially. Yeah. Like, save up then travel sort of thing. Yeah. I think something that I personally need to kind of figure out, because me and one of my close friends are graduating next year.
Yeah.
And so ideally we want to go on a grad trip. But now the question is, like, how do you actually save up? So if you don't mind, well, I don't care. You have to tell me.
Yeah.
What does your money strategy look like month to month?
All right. You want like blunt answers and like straight to the fact like answers?
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Okay. I'm the person that whenever someone gave me advice or anything, I liked it when they were like being real with me. Number one, I was in a co-op program. Right? And number two, I started traveling after university.
Yeah.
I didn't have the number one time because I was in a co-op program, so like I would have to work.
There was no summers off.
There was no summers off for me, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, I was able to save up money from my co-ops and like, you know, like after rent and everything is covered, I had a couple of $1,000 like that I could start with when I started traveling, right? So my first trip that I did after like a big trip, right? I'm not considering like cottages and stuff, but like a big vacation travel trip was Iceland. And that was when? After I finished school.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I do not expect people in university, or I didn't have that expectation on myself that I'm going to be able to do a big trip like that in university.
Yeah.
Because I didn't come from a place of wealth where like I could just go do that.
Yeah.
Right? And the only reason I had that early start was because I had an co-op program. And like you're not in a co-op program.
I was just going to ask. I'm not in one. So what about me?
Right? You are working in the summer, but that majority of your expenses are going to be taken by rent and everything. Right? So don't put an expectation for yourself that you'll be able to do a big trip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Set your expectations realistic. Right? Don't expect yourself to, I don't know, go to like an expensive place, like somewhere far away like Bali or somewhere like that, right? Because the flights will just eat up majority of your budget.
That's true.
Maybe when you're first starting off, travel to maybe the American national parks.
Yeah, that would
right?
be really
the flights are maybe 200, 300.
Or within Canada, maybe?
Even within Canada, I went to Vancouver. The flights were cheap sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So like set realistic goals for your travel based on your situation, right?
Yeah.
I personally can't budget like a 4-week Europe trip. I don't have the time or the money for that at the moment, right? That'll happen later on in life. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to travel. I'll travel to some places like Hawaii where you can get there and then like for cheap and everything like that. So number one step is have a good realistic expectation.
Yeah.
Now that you have a goal, how do we work backwards? What can we do on a month-to-month basis? All right. Now, as I said, I'm not a financial advisor. These are the tips and tricks that work for me. And I'm not going to tell anyone how to save their money or invest their money, right? And we can do a whole episode on this. And, like, there's a lot of knowledge out, like, on YouTube and stuff that you could listen. But, okay. I have automated my life when it comes to savings and investing. When a paycheck comes in, before I get to enjoy money from there's an amount that goes automatically to my savings account, automatically to my investing account, so like my TFSA. Okay, so not, like we're gonna get like I don't want to get too technical, or like too much into the details.
Like get a little bit. So like
All right. The government has created many savings programs for us to use so we can save for our retirement as well buy our first home, right? So you have access to the first home savings account. You meaning like everyone listening and you yourself as well. You have access to the TFSA and you have access to RSP. From these accounts, worry about filling up your first home savings account first. Right?
First milestone, right?
Yeah. Just because like, okay, the limit per year is $8,000. And when you're saving up, originally you're only going to have that much money. That limit is going to be more than enough for you to save up. Right? So whatever you put
Meaning the max you can put in is?
Per year is $8,000. And when you file your taxes, it's like tax deductible. So like you're going to be able to tax refund. You'll get money on that back because they're going to tax you later on. Right? Same thing with RSP. It's going in, it's tax free. When it comes out, is you're going to be taxed on it. TFSA going in is already taxed, so when it comes out, you'll be taxed. Like I'm just like I think we can go into more detail, but it's not needed at the moment. Put in money in your first home buyer savings account. Take care of your long-term goals first, right? Then take care of your obligations. right? Then make smarter decisions.
Yeah.
Which is a skill that even I'm working on, right? What helps me sometimes, you've seen me play around with Excel spreadsheets and write down all my expenses and then see like, okay, 40% of my money is going to this, 60% is going to this. Like, okay, what can I do better? And then what I like to do is people journal, right? Do a financial journal, right? A financial journal is like, okay, see where your expenses and everything are going. But I also write down like, hey, maybe because like when I was in investments, you would have to put a commentary like, okay, where did your investments go? What could you do better and stuff?
Yeah.
So put a commentary and I put a commentary for myself like, hey, this year I'm going to be more mindful of my savings. I'm going to reduce my expenses on impulse purchases, and I want a 50-50 allocation. Meaning like 50% of my money should go to this, 50% should go to this.
Oh, okay.
Like have goals for yourself like that, financial goals, right? And then when you do that, you're going to realize that you're not going to have that financial stress in your head because you've already automated your life. You know that you've already invested money. You know you've already saved your money. And whatever is remaining is for you to enjoy. So enjoy it after.
Enjoy it, yeah.
Right? There's a really good book that I would recommend to everyone that kind of helped me become more mindful and become a better spender as well, is The Psychology of Money. I think everyone, especially young adults that are starting off, should read that book because that book helps you set up good financial habits for the rest of your life. So it's The Psychology of Money. Everyone should read it, and I think you should read it as well.
Yeah.
And many of the things that I'm saying is just going to be derived from that book, so I'll recommend that to everyone.
Wow, that's good advice.
Yeah, and like as we said, like we can do more episodes where we can be more specific on things like, okay, what do I invest my money in? That's a whole different thing, right? But you can like that's for another conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so like, kind of going off of what you said, what about someone like me? Right, where, like you mentioned earlier, I didn't have co-op, right? Or I don't have co-op. I don't know. I'm speaking past tense.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I'm starting off from $0, but like, what would your advice be for someone starting off from scratch? Scratch is like a loose term. Right. Like it could be like not that much in savings and stuff.
Okay.
In terms of getting to a state where you have the money to travel.
Okay. Can you pull out a calculator?
Yeah.
Just so we can do some math.
Yes.
Right. What's the minimum wage in Ontario?
Is it $17.55?
All right, let's say $17.
Let's just say 17, yeah.
$17, okay, for each. In the summer, you're going to work how many hours?
41.25.
So times that 41.25, right? We'll just do a week to week, just so people have...
I don't make minimum wage, though.
Huh?
I don't make minimum wage.
No, I'm just saying this is someone minimum.
Minimum. Okay, yeah.
All right. And then just for like, because of tax, just do times 0.7. That's a rough calculation.
Times 0.7.
Yeah. You're going to get some of that money back, guys. Yeah. I know. But like still, let's just say in your bank account.
Yeah.
In your bank account, you get $500. Right? 500 times 4 is $2,000 per month. Your rent is probably going to be like your university rent is what, like
$750-ish.
$750, right?
$775 maybe because
$750. So you subtract that by $750. All right, you have 1925.
Wait, no, that's wrong. There we go.
So you have $1,250 saved up per month after rent.
Yeah.
Right, and also you're not paying rent 12 months of the year.
That's true.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, it's like
8 months.
Yeah.
Right. So that $1,250, if you were to just make, you can do this on Wealthsimple. You can do it on any bank account, but I think Wealthsimple is better because Wealthsimple allows you to open cash accounts, and then you can name the cash accounts what they're for. So like, you have a checkings and savings.
Yeah.
So I have a checkings and savings account, one called Future and one called Travel. So then every month I move some money to my travel, right? Even if you were to move like $200 per month to your travel account, in 4 months you would have $800.
Yeah, sorry.
Right? Good math? Yeah. Right? $800. That will cover maybe like your trip, flight tickets to most places.
Most places, yeah.
Right? So like just being mindful and like creating a small budget like that. I'm like, okay, where's my money going? Like, okay, after rent, this is where it's going. Like we're not even getting into like savings and investing, right?
Yeah.
From there, you can say like, okay, I have $1,250 left over. $500 from there, I'm just gonna dump to my investings account.
Mm-hmm.
Then another 500, so that's 1,000 gone over there
Yeah.
into my savings account.
So you have
Then you
$250.
$250 left over. Now what you do with that $250 is up to you.
Yeah.
You got to be more mindful. I can't tell you what to do. If you want to buy a jacket or a hoodie that's $80, then just say goodbye to that $80.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you're going to go and buy like 10 coffees from Starbucks, which are on average, the price is what, $7?
$7-ish.
So that's, how much is that? $70 right there, right?
Yeah.
So these small decisions that you make, you got to be just more mindful and realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
And I guess that's what's important, to like remind yourself of your goals.
Yeah.
Because if you remember like, oh, this is my goal to go here to do this,
Yeah.
then it'll be easier to be more mindful, I feel.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, my desktop wallpaper.
Yeah. It's like a vision board.
It's a vision board. And one of the things on my vision board is travel.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm constantly reminded like, hey, the fulfillment I get from traveling is going to be way more than the fulfillment I get from, I don't know, eating out.
Mm-hmm.
So let me be mindful and cut down on that so I can save up for something that's actually going to be more valuable for me in the long term.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So simple things like that. Like you can sit down and like you can look at YouTube videos to help you budget and stuff. But my number one tip is always be aware of where your money is going.
Okay.
And how much you're spending. Once you have that oversight, you are able to work backwards and be more mindful for your day-to-day purchases.
Yeah. I feel like those day-to-day purchases are easy to like kind of forget about, right? And then but they add up.
Yeah, and like nowadays we have tap on our phones and stuff.
Oh, it's so dangerous.
So easy to like, just double click, done.
Yeah.
Right? But like that double click done is coming from somewhere. You got to remind yourself. It's not infinity bank sponsoring you.
Exactly. All right, kind of going back to traveling itself, I kind of wanted to talk about your opinion on what do you think you're really buying when you travel? And what I mean by this is, first of all, I think you mentioned this earlier, but like, once again, why do you value travel so much? Mm-hmm. And what does traveling give to you that other things, other experiences in life or other just things in life don't?
Yeah.
Like why do you think traveling is something people should do?
Yeah. And like, okay, for me, traveling, as I mentioned, is kind of like a reward system for myself.
Yeah.
After I have worked so hard, I need to feel like I've earned my travel. Yeah. Right? So that is number one. Like it allows me to reward myself into a fun experience. It allows me to relax when I go on travel. It allows me adventure. I love hiking. I love adventurous things, right? These experiences I'm not going to get like in Ontario, I'll be honest. Like,
what do you mean? You're not going to see an active volcano in Ontario?
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to go to Guatemala for that.
Yeah.
Right? So like things like that, adventure, being able to see the world. I think there's so many beautiful places in this world.
Yeah.
And nature is so beautiful. Like I want to see it all. Right? Like that's a goal I have for myself. I want to see it all. I want to experience things. I want to, like when I say experience culture, like I don't really like care too much about like the food aspect of things.
Yeah.
But when I say culture, I just want to like just look at how people live their life in different parts of this world.
Yeah.
When you do that, you get a better understanding of your position and you get more gratitude for your life that you're able to do this. There are people out there that don't have passports and they're never going to be able to see more than their own town.
Yeah, that you just realize like that's so like, you know, what a privilege it is to have a passport, right?
Right. Exactly. And number two is just fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's straight up fun. Like, whenever I go with my friend group and everything like that, you just make so many funny moments and, like, memories. And then whenever we're sitting back in Toronto, we're laughing about things that happened on our trips, right? So that aspect, as well, as I said, kind of sounds over and over again, but nature is just beautiful. Like, there's so many things to see. Like, why not see them?
Exactly. Okay, then I gotta ask you this. What has been your most meaningful travel memory? Like the one that's like, it doesn't have to be like the top one, maybe top 3 or whatever. And this is an interesting question, but what did it cost? And I don't mean like literal cost, but like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the meaningful or like the most memorable thing that I have done at the moment is that we hiked up, like as a friend group, like 10, 12 of us on a volcano, right? And that was a really hard hike.
Yeah.
Right. I remember all of us were dying. Like people were like altitude sickness. Somebody lost their AirPods. Somebody like they came after the sun set, so it was dark and everything like that. But basically, it was a really hard hike. And when we got to the top, we were staying on top of a volcano, and in front of the volcano was an active volcano. So I spent that night, like when everyone went back in their cabin, I spent the night outside in the cold. I was freezing just so I could just see the active volcano like erupt in the night.
That is so cool.
Right? And then behind that is a backdrop of like stars and everything like that.
Whoa.
And when sun sets and everything, you are above the clouds.
Yeah.
The elevation is that high.
Yeah.
So like being able to see that, and like when the sun rises is just beautiful. And then when you stay the night on the cabin and you wake up at like 3-4 a.m., finish climbing up the volcano, and you get to see the sunrise, the most beautiful sunrise I've seen in my life.
Oh my God.
Right? Whenever I'm feeling stressed sometimes, and if I like want to just catch my breath or like meditate a little, I remind myself of that sunrise, because I remember I sat down on top of the volcano, just looked at the sunrise, and like no one was around me. My friend group was somewhere else. Everyone was just taking a moment to themselves, and I just reminded myself how peaceful I was.
Mm-hmm.
What did it cost me? Well, it cost me, like, obviously it was a hard hike and everything like that. It did cost me money. Guatemala is there, everything like that. To be honest, it doesn't cost you much.
Yeah. Right? Maybe like the comfort of like not having, or like lacking the comfort of like a bed.
Yeah, like I didn't really sleep much that night or things like that. But like one day I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. Right. Wow, I'm very jealous. I wish I could. I mean, you know what? One day I will. What was it? Mount Fuego? No, not Fuego.
Like Fuego is the active volcano.
Yeah.
This was Atenango. Like I might be pronouncing it wrong.
Wow. That's okay. I gotta go there. All right, and another question. This is more like broad, kind of general, but how do you balance living in the now, right? Being present. I feel like we talk about this in a lot of our episodes, versus planning for the future. Because like sometimes, you know, when I think about savings and stuff like that, like I do get kind of stressed.
No, and so do I.
Yeah.
And I think it's a normal thing to stress about. But as I said, I've automated my savings and investing. I know at the bare minimum, I am contributing enough to my investment accounts. I'm maximizing my investments and savings.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying the now because I've already taken care of the future.
Okay.
So if you are stressed about the now, it's most likely because you are not really taking care of the future first. Take care of the future first, and then enjoy the now with what's left over when it comes to your finances. Because some people will tell you like, hey man, we're all here on this world. Like you die when you die 100%, but you still like, hey, what if you end up living like 90? You don't want to live a miserable life.
Yeah.
Right? So take care of your future so you can enjoy the now.
Okay.
And I think that goes to all aspects of your life, not even just finances.
Yeah.
You're going to be less stress-free when you have, studied well, taking care of your career and stuff. So when you're enjoying the now, you're like, okay, it's good. I am on the right path.
Wow. All right. I think this would be a good point in the conversation to get a bit more practical, right? Or maybe even like in terms of mindset and stuff. I feel like we kind of mentioned this, but just very bluntly put it, like just statement. How can people like me get started with saving? Even, if, for example, for me, I'm just a student and I'm kind of basically just starting out, but.
All right. Number one, when you're a student, your biggest expenses are your rent. That's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Right? You can't really escape rent. So stop worrying about that. The best way you can save money on your rent is just find a cheaper place if you can. But if not, it's okay, brother. You're going to have to live.
Yeah.
So
you need a place to sleep.
You need a place to stay, so stop worrying about that.
Yeah.
Next thing is, all right, once your accommodation is taken care of, now it's your food. This is where the real saving happens for students.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need to eat out as much as you think. Spending $20 on food versus $20 on groceries will last you way different time frames. Right? And groceries are getting expensive, yes, but everyone's got to eat. I would rather you, like you, buddy, like skip out on one meal from eating out, which would save you what, like $20 on average?
Yeah,
and
minimum.
put that towards your grocery budget, and you'll be able to get healthier food and food that will last you longer.
Yeah.
Right? So I think for students, the number one thing is your food. Number two is, I think a lot of us fall into the trap of trying to impress others, and one of the best ways we try to impress each other is through fashion and clothes and stuff.
Our outward experience.
Like, some people are really passionate about that, and I'm not gonna be the person to tell them like, hey, don't get those shoes or don't get that. Like, even I'm really passionate about certain type of pants, and I get those type of pants only because they don't fit otherwise properly and stuff like that. So, like, that's a whole different story, right? But if you can, like, you don't need to get the latest shoes, you don't need to get the latest jackets. Like, buy clothes that will last you long, right? Even if it's a $20 t-shirt versus a $10 t-shirts, right? Buy the $20 t-shirt if it's gonna last you like a longer time instead of buying like $10
t-shirts repeatedly.
And same thing, like, you don't need to flex your money through your clothes. I think that's one place that you could save. And everyone's different, right? Like, some people might care about that more than like traveling or like other things in life, so it's up to you. But that's another way you can save money. And just be realistic with yourself. Like, as I said, set realistic goals for yourself. You're not going to be able to like save $1,000 per month. Right.
Especially for someone like myself, right? Like, just starting off.
You're just starting off, so set real goals for yourself.
I don't make $1,000 in a month, so.
Like, just, that's what I mean. Like,
wait, no, I do. Yeah. Anyways.
Know your reality. Know your constraints and plan accordingly.
Okay. And in terms of mindset, I feel like you did talk about this, right? Like, the things that people value really affects their financial decisions. But what mindset should people kind of adopt if they want to live a more experienced, focused life, right?
Your experiences does not necessarily correlate with the amount of money you put into it. More money does not mean you get more experiences. Right? More money on a vacation does not guarantee a better vacation experience, right? My experiences, the best ones, have been when I'm surrounded by the people I love and I'm just doing whatever, right? Sometimes we're just sitting, and that experience is most valuable, right? So reminding yourself that I think money and experiences are not tied as much as people think they are. It's more tied to the group of people you're surrounding yourself with and your support system, if that makes sense. So this is kind of going into a different topic, but like, I don't think like your experiences are dependent on how much money you put on that vacation as much as people think. Like, I could be camping and having a great time, and camping will be like $50-$20.
$50-$20.
$50 to $20, and you'll have a great time.
That's true. Okay, now this is more like rapid fire. Like, you know how Karan Johar does it?
Okay.
Anyways, any travel hacks or money apps, or like any, like, just like give me any like hacks or cool apps or tips on that you swear by.
I mean, I'm not the best at this, I'll be honest.
I think one is like Splitwise, right?
I mean, Splitwise is an app that we use on most cases to
share expenses.
Number two is, as I said, the Google Flight thing. Like, be flexible with where you want to travel. If you're flexible like that, you can set up a notification for multiple locations, and when the flight prices make sense, go there. Number two, when you are there, try to cook. If you can. If you want to eat out as well. But like, sometimes you're just gonna end up spending money at a restaurant that's not gonna be as good. Like, maybe I'm not a big of a foodie as I thought I was originally, but like, when I eat out now, I'm like, this just tastes the same.
I think it's because now you've ventured into like cooking your own food now, and like you're like mom. Because when we were younger, we would go to restaurants with mom, and then she'd be like, I wonder how they made this. She'd be like, oh, they use these ingredients. And then she'd go home and recreate it. And then, like, I feel like she'd never want to go to that restaurant again or anything like that.
So it's kind of this, I guess, the same thing with me. What number were we at?
You said 2, but it was technically your third one. So you're 4th one now.
Number 4, just go travel with good people. I think who you travel with makes a big difference. If you travel with people that have a different, like, travel mindset than you, like, if they want to stay in and if you want to go explore,
Yeah.
it's not going to be fun. Or if it's the other way around, like where you want a more relaxing vacation and then they want a more
adventurous.
Yeah, so like know who you're going with, set your mood and your intentions clear. Number 5 is have a good time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that one's important.
Number 6 is just, I think I myself am a very like, I enjoy conversations. I enjoy spending time with family. I enjoy spending time with friends. That's all I technically need when I travel.
Yeah.
So like, what do you ask yourself? What kind of experiences do you want? What do you want to do? And then plan your itinerary like that.
Like that, yeah.
Don't just look at a YouTube video and like, oh, these are what these guys did, so I have to do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Cater your itinerary to your needs and stuff.
Because you're the one going.
Yeah,
right?
Don't follow somebody else's itinerary thinking that you're going to have a good time.
Okay. I like those tips. Those are very nice and practical. All right. Any last words you have for the people like me who want to travel but don't know how to? Or I guess now I do know a little bit.
Yeah. Be realistic. Be reasonable. And pace yourself.
Pace yourself. I like that. Pace yourself.
Right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of things that I want to do in life, but it's going to come when the time is right, when my bank account is aligned. So take your time, and that's pretty much it. Pace yourself.
All right.
If there's one thing I hope people take away from this, it's that travel or any dream doesn't have to wait. With the right mindset and plan, it's more possible than you think.
Thank you, Jalp, for answering all those questions I had. And thank you, listeners, for tuning into The Ordinary. We hope this conversation helped you feel a little bit more empowered, whether you're saving for your next flight or just, like me, kind of figuring things out one step at a time. See you next time.